Welcome everyone, and thank you for making time to attend Superhero Academy's first ever webinar. I'm Timothy Zasidias, the principal of Superhero Academy. Let me introduce to you a little bit about our center. Superhero Academy is a language center, and we provide courses in English, Mandarin, Bahasa Melayu, German, and also a few enrichment programs such as financial literacy, drama, and choir. On top of that, we also offer a special needs assessment and intervention for children who are having difficulty in learning, which is something unique to our center. So the reason why I wanted to have this webinar for parents is because I've noticed that students, especially young students, have even shorter attention spans when learning online than they do in the classroom. Secondly, it is also more difficult for them to stay focused on the teacher, as some students are easily distracted by what is happening around them at home. To help us manage our children's online learning better, I've invited today's speaker, Ms. Melissa Jane Chua, who is our resident educational psychologist and also a lecturer in Help University. Ms. Melissa, you want to say hi, everyone?
Hi everyone, I'm Melissa. I'm glad to be here today and I'm grateful that you decided to spend your weekend afternoon with me. I'll try my best to answer your questions and to be as concise as possible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Ms. Melissa will be giving us a 20-minute presentation, and that will leave us 10 to 15 minutes at the end for a Q&A session. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the chat box and we will get through as many as possible during the presentation. Just to check if the chat box is working, can everybody just type in where you are from? Okay, just quickly type in where you're from. Okay, from Cyberjaya, from Rimbayu, good, excellent. From Perak, okay. Sarawak as well, okay, very good.
Hi.
Okay. Miss Melissa is from Sarawak as well. Okay, so if you stick around till the end of this webinar, we will be revealing a special offer only available to you because you have sacrificed your Saturday afternoon to be with us. Before we begin, can I just get everyone to make sure that your mics are muted and videos are turned off to enable a smoother presentation? Without further ado, Miss Melissa, can you tell us how we can manage our children's online learning in order for them to get the most out of it?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Tim. All right. So now I'm going to share screen with you so that you can have a look at my slides, right? Okay. So today's topic is how to help your child get the most out of their online learning. All right. So before I proceed with the tips on how to get the most out of your children's online learning, let me just briefly introduce you to the ABC of behavior modification. This is just to give you some background. So, okay, so again, ABC. All right. So this is to analyze the relationship between the purpose. We want to analyze the relationship between antecedent behavior and the consequence by looking at what is the purpose that a child engages in a behavior. All right, okay. So next, why we do this? Okay, so as you can see from here, antecedent can come from environmental events. And the behavior, of course, is the problem that we identify in the child. For example, let's say the child disturbs other children or disrupts the process of learning, then that is the problem that we have identified. So what is the consequence of that behavior? Again, it's another environmental events, and then they can come in the form of physical environment or behavior of others. So what is so important about doing this FBA? It's important because we expect that when the child is put in a similar situation, which is the antecedent, the same behavior will occur because it will lead to the same consequence as before. Okay, so take this example. I'm giving you a situation right now. You are standing in line to pay the cashier at the counter. So there are various candies on display. Then your child asks you to buy the candy. You said no. And then your child throws tantrum. Feeling embarrassed and wanting to stop your child's loud cry, you gave in to her demand and bought the candy. So does this already sound familiar? So in future, when you're paying for your stuff at the cashier and your child wants you to buy candy, she knows that if you say no, she can just cry and you will buy her the candy. In this case, the antecedent would be the setting where you are in, which could be the supermarket as well, and standing in line at the counter, and the candy. The behavior is the child's cry, and the consequence is that you bought the candy after she cries. Okay, so I hope that is clear so far, because this will help us having this background knowledge will help us to understand why I give you the strategies later on. All right, so moving on. With this in mind, we have come up with some strategies and tips that you can use in order to help with your child's learning. So strategy number one, looking at this, is to set up a specific place. All right, specific area for your child's learning. Okay, so why are we setting up a specific area? This is to act as the antecedent. Just as when you see your bedroom, you go into your bedroom and you see your bed, what first comes to your mind? Okay, it prompts you to lie down. If you just lie down without eyelids get heavier and heavier. So why is this? It's because unconsciously your mind had been conditioned to think about sleep when you are in bed. So the same rules apply here when it comes to your child's learning. Setting up a specific place that is only meant for studying helps your child to get ready and be prepared for learning. So when you designate this place for studying, right, make sure that that is the only thing that happens here. No other things should happen here, only for learning. So make sure that you remove all distractions such as TV, radio, or even the mess on the table. As you can see in the picture, there are only things that are needed for studying there or for learning that particular subject. So anything else that might distract your child from focusing on his or her study, remove them. What we want to do here is to condition your child to prepare him or herself to study when the image of this specific area is invoked. The moment they see this, they know, okay, this is what I need to do, study. All right, very simple. Okay, next one is this, visual timetable. Okay, so visual stimuli are powerful things because we receive 90% of the information from our surrounding through our visual sense. By having a visual schedule, it serves as a reminder on how our time should be spent. As you can see from the picture here, there's a like 9 o'clock spelling, 9:30 daily 5, and whatever that is. 10 o'clock is writer's workshop. So we can set up an alarm or just a reminder that when 9:30 comes, okay, the alarm will ring and then we will move on to daily 5 and so on. So this helps us to keep track of our time. It serves as a reminder on how our time should be spent. That is why in the classroom, the class schedule is always on display. This is to both inform and remind the students about the subjects that will be taking place at a specific period. And it helps to run the school smoothly. Now, for children that are younger, you can see on the right side here, these are a simpler schedule. This is actually a type of system used for children with autism. Yeah, called PECS, Picture Exchange Communication System. All right. So they use this to let the child know, because most of the time the child has no speech and they cannot really communicate what they want to do or what they need. So this kind of communication system helps them to tell other people what they want to do. All right. So here, once they have finished one task, they can just remove the picture from the schedule, right? So they will be able to see, okay, how many tasks left? And this is very reinforcing. Okay, so likewise, when we are homeschooling our children, we should also provide them with a learning schedule so that they will know what to expect. Okay, we don't want to give surprises. Okay, now what do you feel like doing? Maybe your child will say, I don't feel like doing anything. Then what do you say? Okay, so how should you construct your schedule? This part is actually dependent on your child's school as well. Some schools I know, for example, like government school, right? They offer live teaching to students, but some teachers might opt for pre-recorded videos. So what is the difference between these two, having a live teaching as well as a pre-recorded video? With live teaching, your child will be able to interact with the teachers. However, when it comes to pre-recorded videos of a lesson, it is up to you when you would like to watch the video. So in this case, for live session, you will have to follow the teacher's schedule. For example, they say, okay, at 9 o'clock, we will have this particular subject or this particular session. So make sure you are there. But for pre-recorded video, it is up to you when you want to access it. Okay, so in this case, especially in pre-recorded video, scheduling the lessons become extremely important, because otherwise your child might lose track of time and just get stuck on doing one thing while the rest are unattended. Okay, so in the other hand, if it is a live teaching lesson, you just need to check with the teacher, like what time is it going to start. Then you can just write down the schedule for your child and the child will follow. Okay, so the teacher will be the one who hosts the session. For pre-recorded video, what you need is to decide on how long the child will spend on studying per day. And within each day, for each day, how many subjects should the child cover? Okay, not only will your child be able to cover all of the subjects, he or she will also learn to be disciplined at the same time. All right, so I hope this one is clear. Now, once you have set up a schedule, then you'll need a behavioral plan or behavioral goal, which acts as a self-regulation strategy. So what is this behavioral goal? Behavioral goal defines the behavior that you would like to engage in for the purpose of achieving your desired goal. So for example, I aim to lose weight. I aim to lose weight. But because losing weight is not really a specific goal, neither is it tangible, I would need to come up with a goal that can be clearly defined. Because if I just say lose weight, how to lose weight? It's not like I can actually cut off some part of the fat, right? I mean, that is not possible. Okay, but what I can do is I need to think of what are the things that I need to do in order to lose weight. I just need to define what are the behaviors that help me to lose weight. Then, so for example, I decide that, okay, if I want to lose weight, I will need to exercise, right? So that is one example of a behavioral goal that is measurable. Whether I exercise or not, I can actually see. Yeah, I can actually measure. Did I do exercise, for example, like jogging or running and so on? But even then, if I just say exercise, that is still not very specific, because I can just maybe go to the kitchen and then come back and I decide, yes, that's enough exercise for today, right? So what I can do is to specify, for example, like maybe do exercise for 1 hour per day. Okay, that sounds much better. But if I want to go even more specific and help my brain to load off the cognitive load, so that I will not have to think, I will just have to do, then I can say something like, okay, I will do 4 sets of push-up with 15 reps each. Now, I don't have to think about what exercise I do. I just follow it. If I manage to do 4 sets of push-up with 15 reps each, then that means I can check the box. As you can see on the screen here, once I complete, for example, my behavioral goal is to complete 5 pages of the math workbook in 1 hour. If I meet all of these criteria, then I can just check on the box, completed. If I don't, like if I complete the 5 pages but not within 1 hour, then it means that I did not really meet my target, right? So I will not be able to check the box. All right. So how is this related to your child's learning? Let's say that we have set the schedule for math, English, and science, with each subject being allocated 1 hour. Within that 1 hour, let's say I don't like math. I would just grab the math workbook and then try to work on one question for that whole 1 hour. So was I doing math? Yes, I was doing math. But had I been productive? Not really. Hence, behavioral goals help your child to be productive. So an example of the behavioral goal that I can set in this circumstance would be to, for example, like on the screen there, complete 5 pages of the method within 1 hour. So within that 1 hour, there's no excuse. I just need to finish the 5 pages. All right. So otherwise, the goal will not be achieved. Okay, so now the next strategy, this one. This looks really nice, right? I bet some of you are familiar with this, but for some of you who are not, this is called a reward chart. So maybe some of you will ask me, what if despite all of the schedules and behavioral goals, I still cannot get my child to complete his or her task? So that is when we introduce this reward system. So this can work in tandem with the behavioral goals. You can set the criteria to get the reward. So for example, as you can see on the screen there, my goal, tidy room, or eat all of my dinner, share my toys, homework, right? So those are behavioral goals that once we have done it, then we can just check on the right side. Yeah. Now for the criteria, I leave it up to you. For example, how do I meet my goal? What defines me meeting my goal? For example, if tidying my room means just making my bed, then once I've made my bed, that's it. I can check the box. But if tidying my room includes sweeping the floor or mopping the floor, right? As well, on top of putting away my laundry, then only after you have done all of that, then only you can check the box for tidying up the room. So all of that has to be decided beforehand. All right. So when you decide on the criteria, always make sure that there is a possibility of meeting all of the criteria. Otherwise, your child might just give up because it is impossible to do. Why do we want? We want to make it successful for them, because with every success, we are actually reinforced to engage in that behavior. If you constantly fail in doing something, even at the beginning, you felt like, yeah, I'm motivated to do this thing. But once you keep on failing, you will start losing hope. And then you will start finding that, I don't find this fun anymore. Even if no matter how I try, you'll feel helpless. Yeah, no matter how I try, I will still not be able to achieve my goals. All right. So this is what we call reward system. And then you can see at the bottom there, you can also align this goal with each reward. So for example, for collecting all of my unicorns, which is tidying up the room, my reward will be a dessert of my choice. All right. Now, because we are short of time, okay, then I'm going to move on. Yeah. So this is actually the last tip, yeah, which is to communicate with the teachers. Although it's the last one, it can be actually the most important one, because you need to constantly check with the teachers to keep in the know about your child's progress. This is to ensure that you get a complete picture about your child's performance. You know, sometimes what we see and what others see might be different. Not to mention how your child behaves in front of you would be different from how your child behaves in front of others. You know, sometimes, for example, some parents tell me that, yeah, my child, I cannot control my child at home. But then I tell the parents, what? Your child is like an angel in school. So the parents don't believe me. But when I record down their behavior, record a video of their behavior, then the parents are very shocked, because they said, wow, who is this person? It's certainly not my child. Okay, so yeah, we want to get a complete picture of how our child is. So by communicating with the teachers, we can do that. It will also give you some insights on how to deal with some of the behaviors, because when the teachers, it seems that the teachers are successful with dealing with your child's behavior in school, right? So now you want to get some tips from them as well. So how did you train my child that he or she is able to behave that way in school? So by communicating with the teachers, you can get some strategies that work and what doesn't work, yeah, and so on. Yeah. Right. So maybe after this, you can make sure to contact your children's teacher and get their feedback on your child. All right, so we have finally reached the end of the presentation. That's all from me. Before we move on to the Q&A, I will pass the screen to Mr. Timothy to make some announcements.
Okay, so thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that was very enlightening. I'm sure we all learned a lot. Just to recap the 5 points. Number 1 was specific area, to have a specific area. Number 2, have a visual schedule. Number 3, set specific behavioral goals. Number 4, a reward system. And number 5, communicate with the teacher. Right? So, now we will so we will begin our Q&A session. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box. So we have one question from Nur Hasliza. She asked how to make all the strategies go smoothly. Usually my kid is not interested in learning very long. Yeah, do you have any advice?
In learning very long. I see. Okay. First, how old are your kids? We cannot expect all children. Okay,
No,
how old?
she didn't mention the age. Yeah, just.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the younger they are, the shorter their attention span. That's a general rule. So make sure that your attention span aligns with, you can actually Google online, like how long should your attention span for the different age of your child might be. And then you make sure that when you set out a schedule, you go with that as well. Like, for example, maybe if your child is 7 years old, maybe the attention span is for about like 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Then you can set up the time for their learning to be that long for that particular subject, 30 minutes per subject. Yeah. And within that subject, then you can also make sure that each task given is short. Yeah. So maybe you can give like 5 tasks, 5 different tasks. So for math, maybe first you want to work for 10 minutes on like counting, and then another 10 minutes for memorizing the times tables, and then another 10 minutes on maybe doing addition and so on. So you are varying the task within that time span as well. You don't bore your child by continuously working on the same task. Sometimes they feel like, oh, I really don't know how to do this. And if you just let them continue with that particular task, they're not going to suddenly know how to do it as well. Yeah, so there's no point in really continuing doing something that they will not be able to succeed at the end.
Okay, thank you.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. She said her child was in primary school as well. So actually, that's why also at Superhero Academy, our online classes, for primary students and preschool students, we have classes only 30 minutes per session, and we have it twice a week. Yeah. So, okay, another question from Deepa. The question is, how do we motivate the kids when they feel down about online schooling? The son is 6 years old. So how to motivate?
When you mentioned, feeling down, I'm not really sure what you mean by feeling down, but maybe they don't feel motivated as they are in school, perhaps because there are no friends around, right? So in this case, the reward system actually does help. Yeah, that's why I will not recommend doing the reward system if your child are already intrinsically motivated to work on their task. Yeah, that's going to actually backfire in the end. If they are already intrinsically motivated, just let them be. Just let them continue being intrinsically motivated by being happy doing their task. But if some children who are not very motivated doing it, then you can use the reward system. Okay, so the joy is in working towards their goal instead of being happy with doing that task. But of course, we want to transfer that extrinsic motivation from letting them be motivated by external rewards to internal rewards. So sometimes children they feel not motivated because they feel like, oh, I can't really learn as well as when I was in school. So they felt like, I don't really know how to do this. But once they have tasted success, then you can actually praise them along with the extrinsic reward. For example, like, okay, if they are given their preferred activity to do after they finish their task, then you can also praise them. You should pair it with social rewards by praising them, so that at the end it's easier for you to fed up the tangible rewards. Yeah, you just need to praise them, and then they will be able to associate that with the feeling of success. Yeah, right. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. So, we have one more question from Leong. The question is how to overcome the familiarity between mother and child. It's hard to teach your own child. They tend to whine and drag their feet. The child is 8 years old.
I see. Okay. Actually, it's not really familiarity. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, it's more difficult to teach your own children because they know your weak points. They know that, okay, if I do this, mommy will definitely behave this way, right? They know all your weak points. So what you can do to reverse this situation is by telling them, okay, now I will be, maybe you can do something like role play. Okay, now I'm going to be teacher or miss something something. Okay, during this time, maybe I'm not your, maybe it's a bit harsh if you say I'm not your mother, but you must call me miss something something. Right? Yeah, because I mean, I experienced it myself when I was in school. I was taught by my mom as well, and she was especially strict on me, right? So you can use this, like when we are doing this teaching session. Okay, we are doing a role play, so you will be a student and I will be the teacher, and during this particular hour only, this is what I will behave. So you need to set the rules, and you need to tell your child how your child is expected to behave. Yeah. So only during this hour, if you manage to complete your task, if you manage to behave well and so on, you will get this reward and so on. Yeah. So if you have laid down the rules, if you have laid down the expectations, you let them know what is going to happen, they will surely cooperate with you. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for Q&A today. Okay, so if you have enjoyed today's session, look out for more webinars which we will be organizing in the near future. If you have any other topics that you would like us to cover, please feel free to shoot us an email. The email address will be sent out shortly. Okay, so if you have any specific questions related to your child's education, you can also go to the link which we will be sharing in the chat group or in your email as well. So you can book for an appointment with Miss Melissa for a consultation. And remember when I told you earlier that we have something special for you if you stay till the end. So during this MCO period, we have been offering a relief of 20% off our online tuition. In fact, this offer is ending tomorrow, 31st of May. If you are thinking about signing your children up for our courses, don't miss this opportunity. In addition to thank you for coming to today's webinar, we are giving you an additional offer by waiving the registration fee worth 50 ringgit for your child and the placement test for English courses on top of our 20% MCO relief. And this offer only lasts until 5 p.m. today, and there are limited spaces available. Okay, so I'll give you the link in the chat group. And thank you everyone, and thank you for Miss Melissa for sharing with us these valuable tips. And thank you for participating. Till next time, stay home and stay safe. Okay, I will send.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Sure.
Bye.
I will send the link in the chat group.
Just go ahead. Send a link. To Leong or what? You're sending to Leong or to everyone?
Slash, can we have a certificate? Unfortunately, yeah, we have certificates for this. It's just a sharing by our speaker. Okay, so the link has been posted in the chat group. You can go over there and sign up for our courses, or you can even book an appointment with Miss Melissa for an in-depth consultation with her. Okay, so thank you, everyone. We will communicate via WhatsApp or email, and see you soon. Superheroes out.